scam this is. This is a case that should have never been brought. It's a case that should be dismissed immediately. The fraud was on behalf of the court. The court was the fraudster in this case. They made references to assets that were very valuable, and they said they had no idea. They had no idea what the numbers were when they said $18 million for Mar-a-Lago, and it's 50 to 100 times that amount by any estimation. It's a terrible thing that's happened here. We're taking days and days and weeks, and it goes on, and then you look at the outside world and what's happening. But of course, they're getting the wish because I don't have to be here for the most part, but I sort of do have to be here because I want to be here because it's a scam. And this is a case that should have never been brought, and it's a case that now should be dismissed. Everybody saw what happened today. Everybody saw what happened with their star witness who admitted that I never told him what he originally said. I did. He admitted that he lied, and he has absolutely no credibility whatsoever. That's their only witness. That's their only witness. And I think you saw what I had to say today, and it was very conclusive. Everything we did was absolutely right. To think that we're being sued and spending all this time and money, and yet people being killed all over the world, that this country could stop. With inflation and all of the other problems that this country has, I think it's a disgrace. And when you look at the numbers, the poll numbers that came out today from the New York Times and CBS, I'm sure the Times was not too happy. But people are sick and tired of what's happening. This is I think it's a very sad day for America. But anyway, this is a case that should have never been brought, and it's a case that should be immediately dismissed. Thank you. Thank you very much.
What do you think the rails at North
Are you moving on to the next case?
That is Donald Trump sulking as he is leaving the courtroom as his testimony concluded in the New York Attorney General civil fraud case. Up next is Ivanka. And if Ivanka's testimony is anything like Donald Trump's, well, be ready. We will be here at the MeidasTouch Network. Donald Trump's testimony was incriminating. He looked like a complete and utter fool. He admitted to all of the elements of New York Attorney General Letitia James and the people of New York's civil fraud case. Let's break it down, but let me show you the press conference held by New York Attorney General Letitia James after Donald Trump's testimony concluded. Play the clip.
The defendant and the Trump organization. He rambled, he hurled insults, but we expected that. At the end of the day, the documentary evidence demonstrated that, in fact, he falsely inflated his assets to basically enrich himself and his family. He continued to persistently engage in fraud. The numbers don't lie. And Mr. Trump obviously can engage in all of these distractions, and that exactly what he did, what he committed on the stand today, engaging in distractions and engaging in name calling. But I will not be bullied. I will not be harassed. This case will go on. We look forward to hearing the testimony of Ivanka Trump on Wednesday, and then we plan on closing our case. And then there'll be some motions on Thursday. And then the defense will present their case in chief. Justice will prevail. And it's important that all of you understand that we have already been victorious in our motion for summary judgment. And now we look forward to disgorgement and to the remaining counts in our action against Donald Trump and his repeated and consistent fraud against the citizens of the great state of New York.
Do you think his answer?
So we've been talking about the various parts of Donald Trump's testimony: morning recess, what happened after morning recess, after the lunch break. Then Donald Trump's lawyer, Alina Habas, started whining and complaining, saying, the judge is being mean to me. The judge is yelling at me. I'll show you that clip in a little bit, but we did a whole other video on that. So what went down in the afternoon? More Donald Trump rambling. He started talking about his so-called worthless clause, which he claims allows him to make any type of financial representation, fraudulent or not, not, because it's all covered by his disclaimer, which he refers to as the worthless clause. There is no such thing, but Donald Trump says it goes on forever, this worthless clause. There's no such thing as a worthless clause that goes on forever and immunizes fraud. And one of the funny things that the New York Attorney General lawyer said is that it goes on forever. What else goes on forever? And the crowd laughed because he was talking about Donald Trump rambling about the worthless clause was something that actually went on forever. Everything with Donald Trump is projection and confession. And Judge Engoron at one point in the afternoon was like, all right, you are a broken record, Mr. Trump, because Donald Trump would say, he would just, as he was answering questions, he wouldn't actually answer the question. He would just say, and this courtroom is a disgrace, and the New York Attorney General is a disgrace, and she's a disgrace, and she's a political hack. And then Judge Engoron would just say, okay, are you done? You sound a little bit like a broken record. All right, next question. I mean, Donald Trump acting like a petulant third grade little fascist. No offense to petulant third graders, because they don't even behave as bad as this. Donald Trump then kept on bragging, my net worth is far greater than I even put on my statement of financial conditions. It's far greater. Everybody knows what a good business person I am. This is a disgrace. This is a disgrace. Stop going into ancient history. You don't know the statute of limitations. That's what Donald Trump was saying, as the New York Attorney General lawyer named Kevin Wallace was just methodically and surgically, though, hitting the elements of the fraud charge that Donald Trump is being prosecuted for in this civil case. And then he let Donald Trump ramble just so Donald Trump kind of cycles through it and then admits to all of the underlying elements in doing so. And that's exactly what Donald Trump did. And Donald Trump also admitted, this was key, that he recognized that banks relied on the statement of financial conditions. And when asked, all right, so in preparing this, Donald Trump, you claim that you weren't the one who prepared the statement of financial conditions. You say it was Jeff McConney, your former controller, and Alan Weisselberg, your former chief financial officer. So are you confident that their representations were accurate and the information was accurate? To which Donald Trump's response was, quote, I hope so, is what Donald Trump said. I hope so. And by the way, Jeff McConney already admitted to fraud during his testimony. Alan Weisselberg claims he couldn't recall anything, and he is a convicted felon. So that should tell you just about how it went. Let's talk just briefly about some other key developments, and I'll summarize it super quickly for you. Donald Trump shows up. Let me show you the press conference that he gives when he arrives in front of the courtroom. Again, a broken record here. Play this clip.
The numbers are much greater than on the financial statement, and we've already proven that. They said Mar-a-Lago's worth $18 million. Mar-a-Lago's worth anywhere from probably 50 to 100 times more than that. And it's a terrible, terrible thing. These are political operatives that I'm going to be dealing with right now. You have a racist attorney general who made some terrible statements, and we just see some more that came over the wires today. It's a very sad situation for our country. We shouldn't have this. This is for third world countries, and very unfair. It's very unfair. But in the meantime, the people of the country understand it. They see it, and they don't like it. They don't like it.
And looking very nervous, actually. And Donald Trump, when he started the testimony, was speaking very low. And so the Judge Engoron had to say, can you please speak up so we can hear you? And then Donald Trump began his unhinged rants. He started telling stories, or as Judge Engoron says, look, we're not looking for essays here. Can you please just answer the question? When asked why Don Jr. was a co-trustee, Donald Trump responded, he's a good boy. He's a good young boy. Donald Trump said. Going through the statement of financial conditions, Donald Trump says, banks don't care. Banks don't care about this. Lenders don't care about this. Nobody cares about the statement of financial conditions. You don't know the way real estate's run, and they don't care about it. In any event, I had a worthless clause, which lets me do anything. I have a worthless clause. And again, it's already been ruled upon. There's no such thing as a worthless clause, which means that you can engage in any conduct. And by the way, Donald Trump's disclaimer is not a strong disclaimer. In fact, Donald Trump is responsible, and the Trump Organization is responsible for fraudulent representations and detecting fraud per their retention agreement with their accounting firm, Meiselas. The Mazars accountants have already testified against Donald Trump in this matter. Donald Trump continued to whine about how he says Mar-a-Lago is valued at 100 to 150 times what the judge says the valuation is. The judge says it's $18 million. Donald Trump saying that while sitting next to the judge. The judge isn't saying that Mar-a-Lago is valued at $18 million. The judge is looking at undisputed evidence and undisputed facts, which is that Donald Trump signed under penalty of perjury, and the Trump Organization signed a deed which states that the Trump Organization, the revocable trust, quote, intends to forever use the Mar-a-Lago property as a commercial property. So then when confronted with that and saying you gained all of the benefits of suppressing the value of Mar-a-Lago by paying less in property taxes, by saying that you conveyed and you intended to convey forever the property as a club, as a commercial property, Donald Trump's response is, my intentions could change. Just because I say intend doesn't mean that I will always intend. Well, the exact language says intend to forever, but in any event, what that does not permit you to do is to lie to people at that point in time about what your intentions are. I suppose in the future, if your intentions change and you want to seek to undo the deed that you signed where your intentions were something previous, well, then you're going to have to face the consequences of paying property taxes on something that's worth $1.5 billion. And then at that time, perhaps things can change. It's not exactly the way it works, but when you made these critical representations saying that you intend to forever utilize Mar-a-Lago as a commercial property, not a residential property, that's fraud, and you just stipulated to it. That's why, folks, there's something called the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, which Donald Trump had the right to assert, but which he did not. Also, when asked about his 10,000 square foot triplex, Donald Trump's response was, well, the reason that he said it was 30,000 square feet is because you could include the elevator shafts and things like that. He said, when provided with the 2021 financial statements, Donald Trump says, I was too busy to even look at these things. I was too busy dealing with Russia and China, to which the New York Attorney General lawyer said, you were not the president in 2021. Please just look at the financial statements. You were not president in 2021. Donald Trump was asked questions about Aberdeen. He said, it's the most beautiful golf course in the world, the greatest golf course in the world. It's so brilliant. Then the judge said, just answer the question. I'm striking that response. Just answer the question, to which Donald Trump's lawyer, Chris Kise, said, I thought that was a brilliant response, Mr. Trump. I thought that was a brilliant response. I mean, come on, Christopher Kise, how embarrassing can you be? What a disgrace you are, and what a disgrace you have become. There was a moment, too, where Donald Trump was trying to mimic the prosecutor, and Donald Trump goes, Trump has no money. Trump make phony statements. Trump defraud banks. And then Judge Engoron's like, I'm granting a motion to strike here. Stricken. Just answer the questions, Mr. Trump. Then Alina Habba stands up, and Alina Habba goes, you must listen, Judge, to what he's saying. Listen to his stories. And Judge Engoron goes, I'm not here just to listen to him rant. He can answer the questions that are being asked of him. He can answer those questions. Let me show you right here. This is Alina Habba whining that the judge yelled at her. Here, play this clip.
You have a right to hire a lawyer who can stand up and say something when they see something wrong. But I was told to sit down today. I was yelled at, and I've had a judge who is unhinged slamming a table. Let me be very clear. I don't tolerate that in my life. I'm not going to tolerate it here. And you know what? You shouldn't either.
There was also just some weird moments where Donald Trump said that he got a lollipop lease, and he goes, I got a lollipop. It's a nice term, a lollipop. How is this even real life, folks? What? Do you have a lollipop? What are you even talking about? And then Donald Trump continued to yell at the New York Attorney General while she was sitting there and go, you don't know anything about my properties. You don't know anything about my properties. And New York Attorney General Letitia James just started basically laughing, and she put her hand over her face and she started laughing and saying, what is going on here? What are you doing? Notably, Donald Trump's lawyers did not do any direct examination of Donald Trump. They didn't ask Donald Trump any questions at all. Think about that. Trump's lawyers, and this is where I said, you have to, it's something called evidence. You need disputed evidence in a case. The reason the judge granted summary judgment against Donald Trump is because Trump's lawyers and Trump aren't putting on evidence. Okay, if you are innocent, if you are not liable, to all the MAGA-splainers out there who go, Ben, you don't know how it works. Intentions change all the time. Okay, well, intentions don't change the moment the intention is made and fraudulent representations are based on that. To all the MAGA-splainers who go, Ben, you don't understand it. The fair market value is always 5,000% greater than the stipulated valuation that you provide for your properties with appraisals. Okay, that's not true. But okay, let me just accept you MAGA-splainers for a second here. Then why didn't Donald Trump's lawyers say, we want to ask him some questions? So can you please clarify this, Mr. Trump? And Mr. Trump, can you point to that? Wasn't that accurate? Isn't this true? Isn't this accurate? That's what you do as a lawyer. You go through with the client on direct testimony. What about this? To prove that the statements would be accurate. Then you would go, Judge, this is accurate. But instead of doing that, what did Donald Trump's lawyers do? They attacked Judge Engoron's law clerk again and demanded a mistrial. You heard that right. At the end of the testimony of Trump, they said to Judge Engoron, we want to file a motion for mistrial because of your clerk passing you notes. And Judge Engoron said, no. I'm not allowing you to file that motion. I'm protecting my staff. And they go, but we must file this motion. And Judge Engoron says, no, you're not filing that motion. I'm 1,000% confident that I can take confidential notes from my law clerk. That's what we do here in New York. I can rely on the guidance of my law clerk and stop bringing up my law clerk. Some other news to report. The New York Attorney General says that the end of trial is going to be about December 15th. That's when they expect the trial to conclude. Ivanka is expected to testify on Wednesday. And then after that, the New York Attorney General is going to rest. Tuesday, November 7th, is voting day. Make sure you're going to vote and make sure you're telling others in states. Please, this is a lot of people watch these videos. Here's how you can help in addition to just enjoying these Trump videos that we're doing and getting the knowledge. Vote, 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 and make sure people are voting on November 7th. And I'm especially looking at those in Virginia. I'm especially looking at those in Ohio. I'm especially looking at those people in New Jersey. I'm especially looking at people all across the country. Make sure you're getting out the message to vote. November 7th is voting here in the United States. It's an off year, so a lot of people don't remember that. Vote. But we'll see if Donald Trump's lawyers even try to put on the defense case after the New York Attorney General's office rests, and we will keep you posted. Here's just the funny part right here. Here's Alina Habba's laptop. She's basically just promoting her law firm with a billboard on her laptop. Oh, one more funny thing. Here's the photo. Here's the cartoon sketch of Donald Trump. Look at him. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. We're going to be doing more updates throughout the day. And if you want to support the growth of this independent platform, go to patreon.com/MeidasTouch and have a great one.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.